friends. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Steve Deace Show here, live and on demand on Blaze TV, radio, and podcast. I am Steve Deace. He is Todd Erzin. He is Aaron McIntyre. You know, we've been partnering with a group called Voice of Judah Israel about the work that they are doing in Israel. And I would like to get an on-the-ground report from them and see if we can separate fact from fiction, clear up some misconceptions, or maybe even confirm a few. So we're going to do that here at the bottom of the hour. Well, I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while because we started partnering with a ministry called Voice of Judah Israel earlier this year. And the leader of that ministry, Pastor Israel Pochtar, joins us now on the show. And want to get an idea of what is really going on there in Israel, what life is really like there in Israel. So, Pastor Israel, it is good for you. We're good to have you here on the show. Thank you for joining us, brother. How are you?
I'm good. We do face the most difficult situation in the history of modern Israel. And it's affect almost everyone in the land, either those who are in this fire zone or in a quiet zone, including me. Both of my sons, they are in the army. So it's really affected us in many different ways.
I want to start with you and your story. All right. How did you end up a Christian pastor in Israel? Kind of your testimony and your ministry, kind of its origins.
Mm-hmm. Well, I raised up in a Jewish family, but not practicing Judaism, just secular family. The descendants of Second World War, the Holocaust. It was easier for my family to say there is no God than to explain why Holocaust happened and all of that. So growing up in such a family, I kind of in teenager age started to search for God, pray, talk, looking for answers, and eventually met a guy who explained me the way of both being Jewish but also believing in Yeshua Jesus. And make story short, eventually I became a pastor, sharing this love, and passion for Israelis and everyone God sent into us, including Arabs as well.
How long have you guys been doing ministry there in Israel, Pastor?
Over 20 years as lead pastor. I moved to Ashdod and started a congregation, a church there. And it was a wonderful journey. Even though we're close to Gaza, we do have time to time rockets flying from Gaza, exploding in our beautiful modern city. But it's part of life. And, war, it's the great time to share hope and love and really hope for a better future.
How are you treated there as a Messianic Jew? How you're a Jew who believes that Yeshua is Messiah. How are you treated there by non-Messianic Jews in Israel?
Well, it's not easy. Israel is a democratic country, so we do have freedom of faith, freedom of speech. But I always say sometimes we need to fight for our freedom, because in my city, in Israel we have mixed cities like Jerusalem, Haifa, Tel Aviv, and Jews, Arabs, Christians live together, mosques, synagogues. In my city, it's Jewish-only city, so there is no historical churches, there is no mosques, Jewish community only. That's make it more difficult, and we have been facing persecutions, and we needed to take prosecutors to the court and remind them it's democracy, it is freedom of speech and freedom of religion. So it's got better and better, praise the Lord.
Well, I mean, that's what it means to be a part of the kingdom, right? On one hand, you are having to defend, like Paul in the New Testament, you are having to defend your small c civil rights against the very people that the Lord has called you to minister to at the exact same time, right? That's the narrow road you have to walk in a ministry like yours.
Well said, exactly. That's what we face.
Have you seen, so my understanding is in terms of median age, Israel has one of the youngest median age populations of any of the developed modern countries. And of course, it's a very secular country as well. In fact, you guys just had your first religiously observant Jew prime minister in Naftali Bennett just a few years ago, right? So I'm wondering, with the younger population and it being more secular, does that actually provide more of an opportunity to teach a cohesion between the Old and the New Testament compared to maybe if older generations were raised more doctrinally one way, or maybe the younger generations may be more open to hearing about Yeshua and the gospel.
Yeah, you get it right. It's exactly what's happening in modern age. The information is accessible. People also travel the world and encountering Christians who love Israel and love Jewish people. And by the way, actually, the love of Christians, and especially American Christians, it's a key for the hearts of many Israelis, because we live in a changing world. 20 years ago, 10 years ago, world was different. And if you Israeli and you live in Israel and you know about the world through social media, you very quickly will have a feeling that all the world against us. But it's not. We know there is many, many millions of Christians who love Israel, support Israel, understand Israel because of the Bible, because of the God's promises. And that's the message. So young generation, when they see this love, when they see a message, message reaching them in the right way, also emphasizing Jewish side of our faith or Jewish roots of Christianity, it really helps a lot. And people open their hearts to check for themselves. And when they check, it's easy to find answers, because we're talking about truth, we're talking about, Bible, New Testament promises, Old Testament promises. So it's a beautiful changes in the land when more and more Israelis open their hearts.
So on one hand, meeting the material needs of the people there, supporting them, being kind of the hands and feet of the gospel, and so showing God's love obviously breaks down a lot of walls and a lot of doors. Let's talk about the other side of this equation for a minute. Somebody, though, who really knows their Torah, really knows their Old Testament, all right? And they're like, hey, I appreciate what you guys do here to support the people of Israel. It's clear you love the country. You're Israelis yourselves. Your sons are serving in the military to defend, our people. That's laudable. But I need you to intellectually walk me through the scriptures, like what Paul again does in the New Testament, where he always went to the synagogues first to reason with the rabbis in the synagogues first. Okay, so they come to you and say, though, I need you to walk me through here. I don't see evidence of a suffering Messiah who has to die and rise again. Where are you guys getting this from, right? So when you have those conversations, walk us through how those go.
When we share the gospel in Israel, we always emphasize Jewishness of the gospel and surely roots of the Old Testament. And I always say to people, when I read the messages of Peter, when he preached to Jewish people and when he preached to Gentiles, generally speaking, it was the same message about Jesus who saved and died for us and rose and forgiven and all of that. But approach was different. For Gentiles, he would just say, general message, you have to believe, otherwise you're done. But to Jewish people, he would open the Torah and quote Old Testament scriptures, and that's what we do. And Isaiah 53, one of the strongest messages, when Isaiah did all the details, described the suffering of Yeshua, Jesus, his death, his resurrection. So it's a powerful message. And I can tell you, I had conversations when people would talk to me, and I would bring, actually, we call it kosher Bible, Old Testament, printed by rabbis, and would let them to read Isaiah 53, and they would read and they would say, like, I remember one specific boy, soldier, he said, my grandfather is a rabbi. He read Isaiah 53 and he goes, that's about Jesus. You check the Bible again. Is it kosher Bible? Yes, it is. It's like, I'm going to share it without everyone, including my grandfather. He's going to kill me. But that's about Jesus.
Is there a great social stigma within Jewish circles of accepting Yeshua as Messiah there in Israel? Does that still exist?
Yes, there is stigma, there is prejudice. Israelis know history very well, and when we speak about Christianity in general, average Israeli would think about Catholic Church and Orthodox Church, and the history of persecutions of Catholic Church and Orthodox Church. So we need to navigate through the really bad history that not on our side, all the mistakes of the past that have been done by people called Christians, but really show the love of God, promises of God, the Jewish Bible, and then New Testament. And when I read complete New Testament in Hebrew. It's actually a very Jewish book by far. It also helps because all the names are original names. So when we share Old Testament, we share all the scriptures like they will see one they have pierced, or New Testament actually written in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, when it says God going to give us new heart and He will give us new covenant. So all of that together, leading people to check deeper, and those who check, oftentimes when they really pray and ask the Lord, they find Jesus, they find Yeshua.
I think that's an important point. The entirety of the New Testament, with the exception of one author, maybe, Luke, is written by Jews. We think actually there's a lot of argument that Luke was a Hellenized Jew. So if that is the case, then the entirety of the New Testament was written by Jews. The entirety of it was.
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, that's what touched me when people witnessed, my friend witnessed to me. I told him, I'm Jewish, it's not for me. And he actually say exactly those words. I said, what are you talking about? Bible was written by Jewish people, including New Testament, the Paul, Jesus, they were Jewish people. Okay, then I said, okay, keep talking. Yeah.
What are the conditions on the ground there right now with your country, given what's happening against Hamas, Hezbollah since October the 7th?
Well, north of Israel under fire, even though Israel effectively terminating and destroying the Hezbollah, the terrorist strongholds and weaponry, but they still have lots of weapons and they still shoot Israel. So northern Israel from Haifa up north, sometimes even south of Haifa, rockets flying, and praise God for Iron Dome. Many of them intercepted, but north of Israel under rocket fire. So people eventually get used to it and learn how to live with sirens and rockets time to time. But it is tough. It is difficult. It's not easy. And, we have Hezbollah, we have Hamas. Hamas defeated as an army. They still fight back. They have kind of guerrilla war operations, guerrilla units. They're not army anymore, but they're still trying to fight back. But also have all the new fronts like Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and some others join them. So it is very challenging time for Israel. But I can tell you, Israel is a miracle country in many ways, because even though war is here, we see rockets, we hear sirens, we're under bomb shelters, but at the same time, Israelis, all the society try to live as normal, enjoy life. We have lots of weddings, lots of celebrations. So we fight and we keep living and celebrating life. And that's the beauty of Israel.
Final question for you, Pastor. Is there a sense, or do you have a sense for what's the level of resolve of the Israeli people? How far are they willing to let Netanyahu go here?
Well, actually, you probably hear about unhappy voices against Bibi Netanyahu, but to surprise of many, the left wing, the left political wing, and in our central and left pretty strong, and they also control in media a lot, more than right wing. Yet the voices and pressure on Bibi Netanyahu was, you shall go, don't wait, don't hesitate, go and destroy our enemies quick. Normally it would be a different story, but right now in Israel, actually pressure on Bibi, go for it. We don't need to fight so long. We just need to go quick, just to destroy terrorism and come back to normal life. That's the pressure. So yes, he have support when he move, and he do attack terrorists. He have full support of the nation.
Folks, if you want to learn more about Pastor Pochtar's ministry there that we've been partnering with this year on the show, go to vojisrael.org/Steve. That's Voice of Judah Israel, vojisrael.org/Steve. And this has been very illuminating, and I've been looking forward to getting this conversation on the show here this year, Pastor. So thank you for joining us, and God bless you. All right, take care, brother.
Thank you. Shalom.
Thank you. What do you guys think?
In our own political mire currently, we Christians are so often in just myopic Pollyannishness or this deep, dark cynicism. And no matter what issue he was talking about, just being a pastor, sharing the word, or the war in particular, there's just he's not falling on either side. There's just a sober-minded hope, very realistic about the challenges, not lying about how difficult our need to suffer. But there's a hope there. This is who we are. We are called to be hope at all times and in all places and in all ways. And it's refreshing. And we all need to be reminded of that. Because look at twice he just talked about, there's rockets flying overhead, but you just kind of get used to it and you move on. It's not easy, but you move on. How many of us as Christians, with far less than rockets flying over our head, are capable of moving on that way?
Precisely. The juxtaposition of the accoutrements of modernity in modern Israel with the ancient feud that are prevalent over there. And something that he said at the very beginning of the interview, and I'm paraphrasing, stuck out to me. What better time than a time of war to spread a message of love and hope for the future? We have a lot of the accoutrements of modernity in the United States here. We do. It's the comfort that's killing us right now. I wonder, we don't even have rockets flying over our head. This is the time to make hay while the sun shines. And most of us just can't be bothered. So hats off to Pastor Israel and Voice of Judah. I just really pray for the continued Holy Spirit opening of the hearts of those who can receive the message that he and that ministry are bringing.
What do you guys think of what he said about the pressure against Netanyahu from all sectors, left, right, and center, is to actually finish the task?
Yeah, we talked about that. I can't remember in what context, just a couple weeks ago. It didn't surprise me that he said that. It seemed like the Netanyahu was going to go all the way as long as he was given permission to do so. And for the most part, it was at least implied that he was giving the leash got a lot longer. This is verification of that.
Aaron, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, our modern minds are not.
I know it's tough to even contemplate that in our current cultural context, isn't it?
This is how war was waged in antiquity and in even recent history. This is actual war. They have an objective. They are pursuing that objective. And especially recently, they are accomplishing those objectives.
Unified around defending their nationalistic identity. Again, that's just foreign concept to where we are as a people now.